Okay, next order of business is CM Punk versus Dominik Mysterio at Madison Square Garden. This was CM Punk's return to WWE in ring in nearly 9 years, and at my behest, my request, you watched it, and what is your critique of the match?
Okay, let me get something straight. This was CM Punk's first house show since he's been back?
First match since he's been back.
Oh, the first match. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Madison Square Garden. Let me say one thing about Madison Square Garden. It is probably the most famous arena in the world, the most famous. And if you walk out there in the middle of it when nobody's in there, it is massive. And you look up and all the history that went down in that building, all the basketball games that went down, and the great basketball tournaments they've had, and the boxing matches, and it's got a lot of history to it. Actually, when you go back in the dressing rooms are rather small compared to the size of the arena. So here goes Dominik and Mammy, I guess, to the ring, and they got tons of heat. And then when they got into the ring, I mean, the crowd took over. They weren't as loud and boisterous as I thought they would be, but they were that they didn't have to do anything. But they went in the ring. The match was, I thought, could have been a lot better, of course, but if this is the first time they've really worked a match, they're working bugs out right now. They're working the kinks out right now. And everything they did got a big positive reaction, especially if the Mr. Dominik was on the receiving end of it. Dominik and Ray Ripley have a lot of heat. They have a lot of natural heat. And when you're a babyface with heels with natural heat, you just sit back and let them do what they do and let the people enjoy that. I thought the match could have been better, but for a first time back, they left the people happy. They got a chance to see CM Punk, and I think they did a good job. They didn't overdo it. They didn't overstay their welcome. It was a match I would expect if they go to the ring, they went, 10 or 12 minutes?
Yeah, not even that. Yeah, about 10, I think.
And that's all they needed to go, because they didn't, what I'm saying, never cheat your customer. The customer felt satisfied, got a finish, and they're on to the rest of the show. So I think it could have been a lot better, because they haven't even started doing the deals with the spots with Ray and Punk yet.
No.
I'd love a spot where he slides out and she turns around and he kisses her. Oh, the place would go insane. Now she wants to get in there, and I'm going to kill you and blah, blah, blah. And there's a couple more things you can do along with that. But she doesn't lose any heat. She gains it, and it makes the match interesting. So, but...
Yeah, but you know the problem with that spot these days in 2023, 2024 is about 500 people in the crowd would then ring up the police saying I've just seen a sexual assault and not realise it's part of the goddamn show. Excuse me. I think I've heard the match described as safe, which is all it needs to be, especially when it's a re-debut.
That's it.
You give them more the next time. And also, there was a huge uptick when Punk was announced as returning to the ring. There was a huge uptick in sales where I think they got around 16,000.
Let me ask you this: what is Punk's greatest allure that people want to see him?
That's a good question.
What is about CM Punk that, because he was the misfit, remember? And he was like, he's never drank a beer. He was Mr. Straight. And I don't really understand that. Well, of course, I wasn't watching WWE TV at the time, but what is his biggest draw that he interests all these people?
I don't know. Maybe people just find him genuine, I guess. Somewhat. Maybe I always thought that he had the same thing as Bryan Danielson, is that There's something about him that you think is real. There's enough of him.
Yeah.
He's more real than everybody else in the room.
Listen to his interview, though. His interview is very real.
Exactly.
When he's talking,
doesn't feel like it's memorized. It feels like that's come straight from the heart.
He's talking right to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what good guys who can interview well, you feel like they're talking, they're standing right there talking right to you. And very few guys, or not very few, or a lot of them could do it, but he does it well. And when he leaves, and I'll give you an example of this, when he leaves, you know what he said. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Bray Wyatt, on the other hand, when he gave an interview, when he got through with it, you look at somebody and say, what did he say? What's he mean? I always did. I may be wrong. But CM Punk is the master of that straight up interview, and he does it well.
I think there's all too much emphasis on people trying to... there's too much memorizing going on. So when you're memorizing something that you've only read about a few hours ago,
yep,
it's a real struggle to sort of put enough emotion in it that it sounds from the heart. Whereas there are those few out there who... Because everyone's presented the script these days, as you know, but there's still people out there who can look at it, put it into their own words, get the point across, and it sounds like it wasn't conjured up by someone in the back a day earlier.
I had a writer from WWE. Of course, when I was in WWE, I had a writer. He wrote me this interview, and in the interview, I was quoting Ben Franklin, and I says, when I was president, Ben Franklin was never president. So I went to the writer and I said, wait a minute, I can't say this. When Ben Franklin was president, he says, why not? I said, because I'm kind of like a scholar on the Constitution, so I would know whether Ben Franklin was the president or not. He said, nobody knows. I said, oh, yeah, I know.
What do you mean nobody knows? I know.
The people know.
I'm English, for Christ's sake. I know that. And
then he kept up. He said, well, say it anyway. I said, I'm not saying it. I'm not. I said, let's go see Vince. And when I said, let's go see Vince, he said, okay. We'll change it. We'll change it. And he changed it. See, that's another thing I bitch about in WWE. They have different guys or different, writers write your interview, or I did, like every week. So it's hard to keep that same character when you have different people writing a different slant on your character. See, all of a sudden, I know the Constitution, I know the American way, we the people, but all of a sudden, I don't even know our own system. Now I look like an idiot, a complete idiot. So, and I thought the angle, actually, Zeb Colter was getting over. But they may not have wanted him to get over that much. I don't know. But when I brought up, let's go see Vince, he backed off.
Do you know, this is going to be a great...
Because I was ready to walk in there and backhand the shit out of him and Vince too. I'd have got my way, by God.